Welcome to Intuitive Astrology with Molly McCord. Thank you so much for joining me. Today is July 15th, 2020, and we're going to be talking about the astrological energies over the next week as we close out the Sun in Cancer's journey and we begin the Sun in Leo energies on July 22nd. We have an interesting week ahead, and I'm going to talk about what this looks like, what it means, including the second Cancer new moon, which is happening on July 20th at 28 degrees of Cancer. Overall, this next week has the potential to really trigger some pain points. It is an emotional ride, it has an intensity, and it has this stretching of energy. So we're going to talk about this and hopefully give you some insight so that you can navigate it in the best and highest possible ways for you. As always, I hope that you get at least one message from this show that resonates with you and that supports you. And I do hope this information also validates what you're experiencing or what you may be going through as we continue to move through the very powerful and rare energies of 2020. Over the next week, there are a number of aspects occurring that can strongly activate an emotional response, that can trigger, that can bring up some feelings that have been hiding underneath the surface. Anything that could spur you into a higher place of self-knowingness is a potential. And it's also important to be in a place of honoring your feelings, honoring the emotional flows, and being able to gracefully flow with what comes up, knowing that it's not permanent. Meaning there is a strong flushing out of energies that's happening right now. It is a strong purging and clearing, but it's happening in the emotional body. And it also relates to what you've been holding in your physical body. Now this relates to Mars in Aries being conjunct Chiron in Aries, which was exact earlier this week. And this is an energy of a deeper wound being triggered, something that could have felt personal or as an attack, something that could have been really big in you in terms of a reaction, a sense of this is not who I am, or this is not fair, and something impulsive or impatient coming through. This energy also has a restlessness to it where you could want to get going or want to get started on something and it just isn't the right time. It's sort of like you have a lot of gas at the beginning and then there's no energy afterwards. Exhaustion can set in. And while this Mars-Chiron conjunction has been happening, there's also been a square from Mercury in Cancer, which is now direct. And this brings in a sense of wanting to feel that there is a progress, even a resolution, that you don't want to stay in something that could be clogged or muddy. And that Mercury in Cancer energy can be defensive. It can be really feeling things deeply, where you just get that emotional wave coming through, or you just start talking and then you break out in tears because of what you've been containing. And so there's an energy of our containers needing to be cleansed, released, and purged. And it's the emotional body's container that I feel is strongly related to everything that we've been moving through this year. And there's a lot here that's triggering the eclipses from January 2020, specifically the January 10th Cancer lunar eclipse. And we are now getting into a deeper knowingness with how we're really feeling. The planets in Capricorn, Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto, are all retrograde right now. And these are the energies where we have to keep it on, right? Keep it together, keep doing what you got to do every day, stay focused, get things done, be responsible. You can't just have a vacation. It feels like there's this intensity, right? This pressure. But now these energies in Cancer, the Sun in Cancer and Mercury in Cancer, are saying, when I stop and when I go into how I feel, a lot is coming up. A lot that I didn't realize I was carrying, a lot that I didn't realize was under the surface. And it can show up, I'm feeling it can show up as grief, sorrow, melancholy, fear, anxiety, sadness, and anything else, right, that's related to some of these energies that we feel that aren't always comfortable. There's an emotional discomfort right now, a sense of I don't feel good about something, or I don't feel safe, or I don't feel like I want to feel. And this week is allowing us to hear those messages, to hear those parts of yourself, to honor them, to really understand that they're connected to a deeper part of yourself that is learning to be safe in a world that's undergoing a very big transition. And this is where there is a strong split. Now, as I do this show, the sun in Cancer is at 23 degrees, directly opposing Pluto retrograde in Capricorn at 23 degrees. And then the sun is going to make an opposition to Saturn in Capricorn during the Cancer new moon on July 20th. And it feels like we're split between the parts of ourselves that are represented in the Capricorn energies of being an adult, getting things done, staying responsible, being aware of what we need to take care of, all the things where we're really getting a reality check of our lives, of what we want, of what we need. I did speak about these themes in Monday's episode. The pressure, the sense of what am I going to do next? What is the next choice, the next purpose, the next direction? Very big things. Now, the opposition with the sun in Cancer is revealing the deeper feelings that, again, have a sense of discomfort. And there's a stretch, there's a pull here. And the energetic stretch is asking you to find ways to honor all of yourself, all of your energies, all parts of yourself that are perhaps feeling that they need a break, that you need downtime, that you don't want to deal with something anymore, that you're just exhausted or overwhelmed, that something has taken too long to come together, which could very well be the case considering this last Mercury retrograde in Cancer that, makes everything take longer. And there could just be this sense of wanting to give up, not wanting to try anymore, not wanting to put in too much effort. I mean, all of this, if any of these themes are resonating with you, what is most important to understand is that it's valid and appropriate right now to feel all of this. Truly, it is. Because we've really gone through the ringer this year, and it's like feeling like you're a piece of putty and you just get pulled and stretched and molded, and all these things outside of you are really requiring a lot from you. This is a week to go very easy on yourself, to have lower expectations of yourself, to not overcommit, to not try to do too much or to push. This is a time to go slow, to let yourself off the hook, to say, I just can't do one more thing right now. I'm so sorry. I need a break. I need downtime. And also to grant that to others, whether they're conscious of it or not, whether that is your kids, your parents, your friends, your siblings, whomever is in your world, in your life. It's allowing people some space right now, because I think that the intensity of these energies is really catching up to us, and it's catching up to us again emotionally and physically. And this is where you could have something come up physically to get your attention or to sideline you, to require you to rest. This is where the emotional purging can happen, where the crying just comes about and something small triggers you in a big way. Something small turns into something bigger, all of that. Because it's like, again, this container, our energetic containers are really feeling the pressure inside and outside. And the best thing we can do is to allow things to just flow through and to give ourselves what we need and to give ourselves the downtime where if all you do is, lay on the couch for 8 hours, then that's what you do. If all you do is read a book, watch movies, do very little, you don't even have the energy to work out or something, then that's all you do. All you do is exactly what your energy can support right now. You're not trying to turn it up to 11. You're not trying to prove anything or be incredibly productive unless that feels normal to you, unless that does fit with where you're at right now. Because yes, this does work with everyone differently. And what I speak about are the general energies, the general themes here. So understand that this could be a really good time for you to do very little. And that's right on time. Because when we work with these astrological energies consciously, they work for us. They work with us. We know that this is just the theme that's coming up right now, and we don't need to override it or overperform or to push it. So the more you can just give yourself downtime, the more you can just allow yourself to be in that cocoon, the cocoon of self-compassion, a cocoon of self-nurturing. This is really a week for that. And it's going to be very good for those who need it. If you've been going really hard, you've been really trying to get a lot done, you've been, trying to hold it together, etc., this could be a really good time for you to simply release. Release yourself from the expectations or even the mental burdens that are weighing on you. It's a good time to look at where you can find emotional support in your daily life and in your everyday habits and routines. It's as simple as, okay, this morning I'm going to start the day with an emotional support cup of coffee. And then I'm going to go read my emotional support book, or I'm going to go watch some emotional support Netflix. Later today, I'm going to take a rest on my emotional support pillow, etc., right? It is a time to just go with what feels right, because then you're honoring this part of your energy that's probably been overlooked and overridden for the majority of this year. So ultimately, we are bringing back into balance our full energy systems, but it's going to require really allowing yourself some downtime and to not push and to not shove even when you're expecting yourself to get things done or to move something forward. Another strong energy that's coming up too is related to this July 20th Cancer new moon. It's at 28 degrees of Cancer, and it is the second Cancer new moon of this year. The first one was the June 21st eclipse, that solar eclipse that we had on the solstice at 0 degrees of Cancer. Was a big initiation of energies. A lot of shifts came through. It was very dynamic, very active. It was forward moving. It was really forward moving. So now we are 28 days later, and we're having the second Cancer new moon, which is a checking in point of how you feel over the last month and what you need now that you didn't realize you needed before. What is calling to you in your heart? Where do you need even to take a break, as I've said, but also where are you needing to go easy on yourself? Now, the new moon at 28 degrees is quite interesting because it's at the end of the zodiac, which is usually a closing out. And I'm seeing this as a quieter new moon. Internal, again, going back to that cocoon energy of coming back to yourself and really setting some intentions around what you need to take forward with you through the rest of this year that emotionally supports you, that is in alignment with your energy, and also honors the shifting heart chakra energies that are working with all of us. Part of the realignment of 2020 is bringing us into a more balanced state in our hearts and in a sense of receiving what we need, knowing that we are worthy of it, knowing that this universe is unlimited in its potentials of creation, that God, Source, Spirit, the universe, whatever you call it, is always working on your behalf, if that's what you believe, if you believe in a benevolent force that surrounds us in everything. And so this is an understanding that what you believe is exactly what you experience. And even as we go through these very big rides and these big roller coasters, what energy are you believing in that supports you right now? And the more that you tune into that, the more that you're going to feel a safety, a trust, a ability to take what comes your way and make it into something more, make it work to your benefit, allow it to be a part of an alchemy process. And this is a time when we can work with our emotional world to support ourselves better. And I'm just seeing this as the very beautiful energy of the green heart chakra, and that it's pulsing, and that the heart chakra has been receiving a lot of downloads and support, new light codes, new waves of energy coming through, and that we're cracking open. It's a cracking and an opening of the heart chakra that is actually blooming. There's a strong blooming energy. Okay, so how it's showing is that blooming is coming from the center, and as it's blooming open, it is then pushing out, and this is the purging, the emotional waves, the emotional detox of what has been in the heart energy field for many lifetimes. And this plays into the bigger story of this year and where we're going into this decade, which is this grand clearing out of many cycles of energies that are complete on the planet. And so we're feeling it in all of our energy systems, but this week specifically really pertains to the heart chakra, what the heart wants, what the heart needs, how the heart feels, these softer parts of you that are more tender, caring, receptive, and also expansive right now. I mean, it feels beautifully expansive, and I'm seeing it as that very vibrant green color, like that apple green, that very bright lime green even, that is very fresh and very new. And it's reminding you of the regenerative power of the heart, that even after heartbreak or loss, there is a renewal. Even when you're feeling sadness or grief, there is going to be a renewal. Even when you have moments of melancholy or sorrow, there's always a renewal. There's always a regenerative force. And so this is looking at how powerful the energies are in supporting you at this time. It's sort of like one bad day doesn't make for a bad lifetime, right? It just means that there was something you were going through that was intense, and then you can feel it move through you. It purges out, it's cleansed out, and then there's a new energy that comes in. So there's these waves of energy moving through us right now that are helping us really be in alignment with it's just new light codes. And as I say that, I'm also seeing the solar flares from the sun, the neutrinos from the sun, the energy force of the sun. You know, the sun in our solar system is very alive, very dynamic. It's always growing as well. And as the sun is pulsing with these new energies, it affects everything else in the solar system as well as in the galaxy. And so, of course, it would also affect us. And so I'm feeling like this very interesting connection here where what we are moving out of the heart chakra it's like a softer energy, and it has a tenderness to it. But as the sun enters Leo on July 22nd, that then activates this stronger energy of the sun, the literal sun in our solar system, and also activates that renewal of the heart's courage. So again, this is part of the rewiring, reprogramming of the heart chakra, and it's also balancing it with higher feminine energies and the corresponding higher masculine energies. And when this type of reprogramming occurs, there is discomfort. There is a sense of feeling the energy that's moving out, of draining out, of clearing out. And I feel like what it takes with us are these stories and codes from other lifetimes. And that's really what's purging out too, is that you could be having some clear messages now about your connections with other people, those relationships, those stories from other lifetimes. And it could be showing you how it's affected your heart, what it's meant to you, what it's brought up, how it's provided you with a definition of love, how it's provided you with an understanding of your experiences in this lifetime. There's dots to be connected with the purging. There's dots to be connected with the emotions and the feelings that are coming up right now. And it is especially intense. And these are the pain points, by the way. The pain points being where something is coming through that you might not rationally understand. And it has a feeling with it, though. It's like, well, why am I feeling this so big? Or why is this coming up when I think of this person? Or why do I feel this really deep, intense love for somebody that I've never met in person, but I feel like I know them? All of this comes up. And granted, they're not all pain points. They can be love points, right? They can be very healing energies too. But the opposition of the sun to Pluto and the opposition of the sun to Saturn, especially during this Cancer new moon, is going to reveal more of what's been under the surface for you so that it's not continuing to operate at an unconscious emotional level. So that it's not just circulating within you and can feel powerless or feel like, oh, I shouldn't feel that, I shouldn't pay attention to that, I don't know what that is. But there's something here that's a part of your heart. And if you should choose to welcome that message, okay? Welcome that message. You might get some very clear insights into what's being healed. And this can happen in so many ways. It can happen through your dreams. It can happen through your intuitive messages, through something you're drawn to, through even like a message in a book or a message in a movie. Have you ever heard something in a movie and it's like the perfect line at the right time, and all of a sudden you're like, oh my goodness, I know exactly what that means for me. It's the synchronicity of it. It's that kind of energy that's showing up right now. And it's showing up to support us in the healing and the understanding, because humanity's consciousness is very high. And it's higher than it's been ever on this planet, which is very exciting. And it means that we're understanding more things at a deep level, but also at an interdimensional level. And for those of you who have asked, the energies that I connect with are galactic cosmic energies that I don't always have a name for, but they are high beings of light. They're very high vibrating energies that come through at certain times, and I feel them very strongly. I've been working with these energies for over 10 years now. I remember the very first time I started channeling was in 2008. And so it's been like a relationship, an energetic relationship that I've developed through many years of connecting with these beings. And so they are from different star systems, different galaxies. They're not just one. And they show themselves in different forms to me that I recognize, and it's often in a human suit, a human body. And it's often when I am receptive to them, because to be honest, I'm not always receptive to these types of messages. I also live a very glamorous life where sometimes I have to remember to move my clothes from the washer to the dryer, or I'm very much going about my day and my errands. So I'm not the kind of person who's always on intuitively. You know, I'm very much in my human experience, just like we all are. But these energies come through, and I'm an open channel for them. And so when I'm sharing this information with you, I hope that it resonates. I trust that it resonates, and I have no control over it, right? I have no control of what resonates. But I know that it's meant to benefit as many people as possible right now. And that's why I also love doing this podcast, is so that it can support the thousands of you who listen. So I wasn't expecting to do all that, but I hope that that helps explain a bit more about how I work, and that this information is very benevolent. It's very much about what's best for humanity, and it's designed to connect with people in a way that energetically supports your day-to-day and your next steps. Now, the other thing to know about this next week is that it is extra intense because of the sun's opposition to the planets in Capricorn. And then the energy becomes much more active and dynamic as the sun enters Leo on July 22nd. And that will be happening at 1:36 a.m. And that is a shift. Again, it's a shift into the solar energies. So as the sun is in Cancer, we're in the lunar energies because Cancer is ruled by the moon. And then we move into the solar energies. So if you can see this as a balancing process of your feminine lunar and the masculine solar, it's going to help integrate what you're feeling, sensing, needing in a way that's going to feel holistic, meaning it's going to come together a little bit more effortlessly. Like there's like this flow that happens, a bit like the ongoing flow of the yin and the yang, where you understand there's a time and place for everything, and when you allow everything its season, when you allow everything to be what it is right now, it puts you in greater alignment for the next season, for the next energy flow. So I'm seeing this yin and yang symbol, and of course it strongly relates to the heart chakra, and it's helping us be in greater harmony for the rest of this year. And that is another point about this week, is that it is asking you to come into balance for the second half of 2020, which we're already moving through, and to understand that each step along the way is going to give us the opportunity to embrace what we need. But there's something about really living day to day like never before. And, that can be quite obvious with the quarantine, the COVID-19, everything that our life is right now. There's this understanding that it's going to be worth it, that what we're moving through absolutely has a purpose. And there's things about this year, as we move through this giant renovation on the planet, that shows us what we're capable of. What we're capable of in a whole new way, because so much of our lives have been shut down, taken away. You can't do this, you can't go there. What you thought were your priorities are no more. It's shifted. And so now it brings us back into our full energy. And that's also the gift of 2020, is that everyone's in their own energy. And you're seeing what that is. You're seeing more of who you are, more of what you want, more of what you need, as well as this new opportunity to focus on what do you want to create next. So this next week could be a really good time to mull over some of those energies for yourself, or some of those potentials and possibilities, that as you're taking some downtime and you're going to go sit on your emotional support lounge chair and stare up at the clouds, you might have some insights or a creative inspiration that can finally come through, that can finally be received, because you're no longer clogged or cluttered by excessive energies or things that don't really matter. So that's another theme here of really coming back to center of what matters to you, what matters in your heart, what matters within you that you weren't able to give it time, energy, or attention. And that would be a lovely way to set your intention for this Cancer new moon at 28 degrees, where you're really saying, I'm now open. My heart is open to what is best for me next, to what I need next, to what I love, to what would be satisfying, what would be fulfilling, and to allow those openings to occur and to see what comes through, and to really see what comes through for you. Now, another energy, again, that will be strong here is this Mercury in Cancer continuing to square Chiron in Aries at 9 degrees. That's going to happen on July 21st. It's already in effect over this next week, which makes it tricky conversations. If you can put off having some conversations that aren't important, that might be to your benefit. This is where, you could say something hurtful, or someone could say something hurtful to you, whether intentional or not. It just has an emotional charge to it because everyone is just a little bit more prickly. We're a bit like a herd of porcupines right now, and things that wouldn't normally bother you, it just can it can set you off, or you can be extra wounded or extra hurt, or crying. You're like, I don't know why I'm crying about this, but that really hurt my feelings. There's just a sensitivity in the air right now, and with this Mercury in Cancer squaring Chiron in Aries, it just has an extra sting to it. So I feel like the energy is going to shift July 22nd in a more supportive way. And not only is that because the sun enters Leo, which is going to bring in a force, a stronger sense of a willpower, and a sense of a strength, a real strength to it. But then also Mercury in Cancer is going to sextile Uranus in Taurus at 10 degrees on July 22nd. And that's where you can shake it off and be like, oh yeah, they didn't mean that. Or, oh yeah, it's not a big deal. I know what you meant. No problem. Like, that's a better day even to have a conversation would be next Wednesday, July 22nd or 23rd, because then that Mercury in Cancer isn't going to be as triggered. Now, keep in mind that the Mercury in Cancer is still going to be in its shadow zone for that retrograde until the end of the month, until about July 27th. So there's still this energy of, okay, I don't know, maybe we'll see. Cancer energy moves sideways, and Mercury in Cancer moves sideways. Like, it doesn't give you a direct answer. Let me feel it out. I don't know. I need some time. Let me think about it. I'll get back to you. So there's this sense of maybe not having the clarity you want just yet, but the Aries energy, okay, the Aries energy of Mars in Aries especially wants to push it forward and say, well, give me an answer right now. And when you have an energy moving sideways and an energy moving forward, well, they're not connecting, right? It's like this sense of it just the rest of July, it kind of has a crunchiness to it in communications, but it's going to get a little bit smoother next week. Just to be aware of anything that you are in the middle of, any projects, ideas, communications, things that you're working on with people, things that you're trying to figure out. It could be difficult to mentally figure it out until you drop it into your heart. Drop the energy into your heart and into your gut and go with what feels right. And then you could say, you know what feels right? I need an emotionally supportive nap right now, and then I'll come back later and see what happens. And then you go take your nap, energy clears, you're not as wound up or as annoyed or whatever, and you come back and you're clear and you're like, oh, I know what to do now. And then it's easier. So there's this process that's underway that is not linear. It's not linear. And that alone could help with your expectations of how to handle the energies right now, and to know that it's just the energies right now. It's just what's circulating around us, and you don't have to take it personally, because the Cancer energy will take it personally and the Aries energy can take it personally. And so then you have this whole dynamic that can show up, that it's sort of like a tornado can appear out of the blue. Like, whoa, that was not what I thought was going to happen, or I didn't see that that was where this was going. And we don't have a lot of objectivity at this time. Now, Venus is in Gemini, which is the air sign energy, right? And the North Node is in Gemini. So this focus on Gemini is asking you to talk it out. Talk it out, think it out, go through some things so that it's not just all in your head. Get it out of your head and really be clear about the details, the specifics, what you're saying, what you're needing. And when you put energy towards Gemini, you will get the new ideas and you will be able to understand the best choices or options next. But that energy, that Gemini energy, it's being overridden at this time. So it's sort of like you have to seek it out. You have to make time for it. It's like you have to write out the to-do list, and then then it will be clearer to you, and then it will feel like you have a solution or something that you know to do next. So overall, a very interesting week, and I hope this has given you some good insights and tips for making the most of it, to adjust your expectations accordingly, to give yourself downtime, to know that, you could feel a little bit more activated emotionally, that things could seem bigger or overwhelming, and what those messages are really telling you, what they're really bringing up to your conscious awareness for you to feel and understand, and to purge it, to release it, and to know that the heart chakras are blooming right now. They're blooming with new love, higher divine feminine energies, higher self-compassion and self-acceptance. And all of this is what is supporting you at this time as we continue this wild ride through this very wild year. So thank you for joining me. As always, I appreciate your time, energy, and presence. You can find out more about me at mollymccord.online or over at consciouscoolchic.com. As always, I'll be back on Monday for another new episode, and on Wednesday as I do this podcast twice a week. I'm grateful that we are moving through these energies together, and as always, I hope that there was something beneficial in this show. Thank you so much for subscribing, liking, and commenting, as well as sharing this podcast with anyone else who may resonate with it. Until we meet again, I hope you have a beautiful week ahead, and please make sure to make the most of that Cancer new moon by setting your intentions based on the energies in your heart and what you're ready to create next. Take good care, and I'll see you soon.